The Sovereign Path. An essay by James Mahu. Question. There are hundreds if not thousands of different paths an individual like me can take. I grew up in Christianity, and then as an adult studied Buddhism, and then, in my 20s, I converted to the Eastern way. But still, I have this Christian belief system that seems to be installed in my psyche, and it's hard to remove or displace it. What do you suggest as a way to meld different paths so I feel less conflicted, guilty, and confused? Answer. There is only one path, because all paths eventually converge to one. In the external view of our local universe, there appears to be an endless array of different belief systems. And they all provide a potential access route to the one path. However, the one path is always internal. It is found within our local universe by understanding that there is only one way to find the truths we care about. Who am I, and why am I here? That one way is our way. It is not the way prescribed by another. It is our way, in whatever way that happens to be in our local universe. If we feel fulfillment and an evolving understanding of who we are and why we are here, then we are on the right path, even if we feel conflicted, guilty, or confused. It is our path, and therefore, it is the path we have chosen to believe in. Our beliefs beget our behaviors that beget our beliefs. This is the cycle we live within. This is why it is important to align our beliefs and consequent behaviors to the pursuit of these two questions: who are we, and why are we here? And never, ever be satisfied that we know the answers completely. The answers expand and evolve with our exploration as a life form in space-time duality. The levels of understanding are endless. How do we know when we understand the one path and we've found its headwaters, the place from which we begin our journey upon the one path to become a sovereign integral in space-time duality? How do we know that we are ready to form a conscious partnership between our finite and infinite self? How do we know we are ready to become a committed, yet imperfect, practitioner of unconditional love? These answers are never quite the same for any of us. Each of us walks a completely unique and individual path of realization. We find our way within our local universe, mostly unaware that we are creating our local universe with our beliefs and behaviors, and the degree to which we believe in the partnership of our finite and infinite self. This foundational understanding emerges when we're ready to integrate it into our existing beliefs and behaviors, allowing them to rearrange our local universe. In effect, we choose to place ourselves at the headwaters and commit to the journey ahead. These headwaters are one river, and there are no tributaries that feed into it beyond its headwaters. All who come to the one path, travel the one path into infinitude thereafter. The current only goes one way. The current flows to the places where we gain a deeper understanding of who we are, and why we exist within space-time duality. We learn that we are the one, many, and all consciousness. We learn that we are a sovereign integral, a soul unified and individualized simultaneously, a natural result of our covenant with our Creator. The one path only flows in the direction of our Creator. However, as a human, we perceive setbacks or headwinds or frustrations that feel for all the world that we are moving backwards or sideways. Yet the river flows one way, hence its name, the one path. When we enter it, we will immediately feel the current. It is magnetic. If we don't feel this, perhaps we are not as ready as we had believed to make the commitment everlasting. Truth has a way of whispering. It is subtle, and in this subtlety there are entire worlds of being, living, understanding, expressing, creating, and so on. Truth is not a philosophical or knowledge-based system. Truth is a belief system based on the imperfect practice of unconditional love. If this distillation of truth feels like it lacks science or religion, then you are correct. It does. It decidedly does, and it makes no apologies for their absence. Science is invaluable to evolve our understanding of the physical universe, but within our local universe there are infinite levels of consciousness and interactions with space-time duality. The physical dimension is but one. Science does not possess a means to probe or understand these other worlds. It has no mechanism, mathematics, or instrumentation to prove these infinite dimensions exist or to prove that our consciousness exists in those dimensions at all times. If it were possible to decompartmentalize human consciousness, that is, show its existence across dimensions, we would see an incomprehensibly complex identity, who, at its highest levels, is infinite and interconnected with one and all. At its lowest levels it is embodied in space-time duality as a temporal, finite body, separate from one and all. Yet, these two identities are conjoined like roots of a tree. Science and religion can lead us to the headwaters of the one path, but when we enter the river of the one path we can leave them at the shore. The one path is not about proving these other worlds and dimensions to another being. This would be the only role that science and religion could offer anyone on the one path, to prove we are infinite. We're always moving to the next understanding of who we are and why we are here. Through this deepening of our understanding, we adjust our behaviors ever so slightly, to more precisely align to the one and all, and to harmonize our finite and infinite self. Thus, we arrive at the headwaters through a perfectly unique and individual path, but once we enter the waters of the one path, we allow its current to pull us. We have become part of the one path itself. We're no longer wandering in the desert or searching and yearning for the way home. We are a living embellishment of the one path, and in this, we sense only camaraderie with all living creatures. We understand that those same creatures, if they are not yet part of the one path, it is by their choice. And this may sound implausible, because one can argue, quite convincingly, that the headwaters of the one path are extremely hard to find, but that is only because we have been taught that it is. It is not. It has no requirements or prerequisites of learning. It is an internal choice that is made an infinite number of times across our moments of space-time duality. It is a choice to get into the river and allow its current to pull us, guide us, and center us as we flow down the waters of the one path. Imagine 1,000 tributaries converging to one river. The current would increase at the point of convergence. It would be roiling and turbulent there, yet those are the headwaters of the one path. In that turbulence, we find difficulty, because we are centered on the external. We are watching the turbulence. We don't see the calm river downstream. We don't see the muddy waters give way to the clear waters of the one river downstream. The path to, and the journey upon, is all one path. It is called the sovereign path, meaning each path is singular and wholly unique. If you think of it, every moment of spacetime for every single life form is unique. Not one moment in the infinitude of spacetime is exactly the same. Each life form is constructing its local universe, and therefore every path is unique. It is this uniqueness that provides the one and all with the deepest insights that feed its intelligence. This intelligence is precisely what is shared with us as we travel the one path. And this intelligence enters us, and expresses itself through our various levels of consciousness, in its own way. It is always unique. It is a feeling, a thought, a voice, a song, a poem, a movement, an expression, an imaginative understanding that is our unique experience and expression of the intelligence of one and all. For most of us, it seems we are imperfect recipients of this intelligence, and next to the task of survival and cultural immersion, it may even seem insignificant and irrelevant. Accessing this intelligence and learning to be a partner of it cannot be saddled with judgment or critical thought. It is a choice, as I have said so many times. The outcome of that choice cannot be criticized or judged as imperfect, insignificant, or irrelevant. There is only a choice. Once the choice is made, the path is settled. However, the choice must be our own. It cannot be influenced by another. It is a sovereign choice of free will. It is the nature of free will to reveal the one path. We are privileged to be recipients of the one path. Thus, we can choose to exercise our free will wisely, and appreciate our sovereign path, deepening our individuality for the sake of one and all. We each possess a background of spiritual beliefs as a result of our DNA, lineage, culture, and education. We have these beliefs that we bring to the headwaters, and we decide if we can leave them at the shore or we bring them with us as we enter the one path. It's easier to integrate our background of spiritual beliefs with the one path if we understand the sovereign path, the full arc of our education as to who we are and why we are here. We can see these earlier belief systems as benchmarks of our evolving understanding. They define our progress. They demonstrate that we are being pulled by the current of the one path. As we move down the one path, our sovereign path becomes more illuminated. We see how its purpose was intricately planned. How event strings led us to find the words, the frequencies, the vibrations that would somehow synchronize with us in a moment of time. And in that sovereign path there was never a wasted moment. Never a time when we were wrong in our choices of what to believe. Everything led us to the one path where we could let go and follow the current. Where we could make different choices of what to believe, yet not look back with disapproving eyes at the individuality of our path. Rather, we can embrace it all, grateful for our collective experience that led us by some magical fate that was not fateful at all. It was a commission of choices. Chief among them is the choice to always seek the one, internal, unique, and individual path that leads to one and all. And during this infinite journey, believe in the imperfect nature of unconditional love, absent a single judgment or expectation. This belief is both an interpretation and an expression. Why is it imperfect, unconditional love? Because we live in a free will multiverse that is both finite and infinite. Spanning one dimension to an infinite number of dimensions. Its vastness is incomprehensible, and yet we each own a point of real estate called the moment in the life of a human being. This moment is where we practice our craft of love, hate, fear, joy, and all of the thoughts and emotions that constitute our human state of being. This moment could be looked upon as a sphere with an infinite number of levels. The moment in the life of a human being is contained almost exclusively in the lowest levels of that sphere, the physical, emotional, and mental levels. That's what we are conscious of. It's what we allow into our sensory system as real. Unconditional love is imperfect, not because it is broken or poorly designed, but because sovereign individuals with free will create infinite local universes, and there can be no form of comparison in infinite systems. Thus, everything is subjective. There is never a finish line or a point of perfection. We practice unconditional love, knowing it is not perfect, and therefore, neither are we perfect in our interpretation and expression. By virtue of its definition, love without judgment or expectation is unconditional. It can be conjoined to sentimental love or the love of attachment, but it remains what it is, unconditional and imperfect. The more important quality of unconditional love is its intelligence. It is intelligent about the true nature of who we are and why we are here. And once this intelligence is exercised and allowed to roam free within us, the sovereign path becomes clear.